All right, guys, welcome in to this Book Talk. We are having an amazing new author coming in and talking about their book. It is Smoke and Mirrors. You can see it right here. This is JD Laubach. Welcome in. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was really good. Our schedules weren't mixing there for a minute. Took us a little bit here, but we got it, and that's the important thing.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you were able to work with me because it's just been a chaotic year.
I can imagine that. Book signings and everything like that, they come by and they're crazy. They're hectic. I just had like my first like 2 back to back, and that is nerve-wracking.
It is so scary.
Do you print through Ingram and Amazon?
Just Amazon right now. I'm
Okay.
getting ready to do a Barnes and Noble edition with like a new cover and interior art and all the fun stuff coming soon. So, but just Amazon right now.
Okay, so you know the headache of buying author copies and then making
Yes.
sure the author copies are there when you need them to be there.
And not damaged or ripped or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
It seems like you'll get there's like a group of people at the warehouse that care about books, and then there's a group that just doesn't care at all.
Yep. Yep.
And you
Sometimes they're just thrown in willy-nilly and they're like ripped and dented and
mhm.
whatever. And then other times they're like packaged so nicely and stacked and like have dividers in them and
Yeah.
everything.
Nice little like cushioning to make sure your book stays
Yeah.
safe, and then and then sometimes you'll get this box that doesn't quite fit the size of the book, where it's just like, I know my book is 6x9 and this box
Yep.
is like just 6x9, so this is not going to be fun when I open this box up, and then I open up the box and I'm like, yeah, no,
Yep.
that's not a fun time.
Yep.
So Smoke and Mirror is your first book?
It is, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, why did you hurt us?
I
Smoke.
I just was like, if this book flops and I decide like maybe I don't write anymore, I wanted it to be like the biggest punch I could throw. Like,
You succeeded.
well, thank you.
I loved the concept of this book. This book is really great for those who don't understand the concept of Smoke and Mirrors. It is told in dual perspective, but 10 years out of sync, which offers an amazing narrative that I absolutely loved, because one of the things that you did to us, not for us, you did to us, is you created this concept where you're giving us breadcrumbs and we're learning bad things that are happening 10 years in the past, and then we have to reconcile that with what's happening in the future, and we're already screaming, no, don't believe it, don't, because something's going on and something's wrong, because I heard this stuff here that you're not going to know about for like chapters, and
Yep.
we have to deal with that kind of stuff. And talk to me about the process that goes into doing something like that, because I'd imagine dealing with dual perspectives is already going to give you kind of its own problems here and there, but also dealing with timelines that are apart but still have to fit together well. How did you go about doing that?
So it was hard. Like I wanted to make sure that like everything that happened to Lave was a consequence for Vera. It couldn't just be something fun to write. It had to like make sense and move Vera's plot forward to create the ending that I had. So what I did was like I wrote an outline of what I wanted to happen to Lave and how I wanted Lave's story to end. I did that first because what happens to Lave is the driving force for Vera, so I needed to know his situations before I even thought about hers. So once I did that, I then like looked and was like, okay, well, where are they going to meet up? When is the twist for Vera going to happen? When like all of these different things. So I would write Vera's outline, like according to what was happening with his, and I had these like flashcards with chapter summaries on them, and I had them on like a murder board so I could move them around up and down to decide like what impact would hit, what the bigger impact would be. And like sometimes something would happen to Vera and then Lave, and then some, like, but most of the time it was Lave first consequencing Vera, and I just like moved around my flashcards in order.
So you went like full Charlie Day on this thing.
Yes. Yep.
You succeeded. It was an amazing thing, and again, like I said, it offered a very unique perspective when you're reading this book, because again, you get these points where you're leaving these like very consequential things that are happening, and like for example, if we're like watching a horror movie, since it is horror season and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
we already know that the killer is upstairs, and now you're sending your character upstairs and we're screaming. It's like, no,
Yes.
they're already up there. Please don't go. Why are you sending her back up there?
I thought it was fun because it would give the reader like an anticipation of like, what is Vera gonna do, because this happened before. So it, like, my editor was so fun in being like, ooh, you know, I love what you've done with Vera here, but if you want to make it even scarier, don't do the twist until the next chapter. Like, leave them hanging one more time. So my editor was really great in helping me like pace the devastation and the fear, and like keeping the on the seat of your pants feeling the whole time.
That was definitely felt. It was devastating in some points, without going into the, because we don't want to go too far into spoilers for people that haven't read the book. But yes, there were some devastating points here, and we saw them coming like 3 chapters, 5 chapters, sometimes 10 chapters away. And you're like, when is the shoe going to drop?
Yep.
And then when the shoe drops, you're just like, I still knew the shoe was going to drop, and it still hurt. So I love the way that you created the tension, and you revealed some of these concepts that were going to happen, and it still hurt, or it still surprised us when it actually did happen, because it happened and unraveled in a way that we weren't expecting. For example, the big twist with Vera entering a specific location, we'll say, when it was supposed to be a very, very happy time for everyone, and then horrific things happen. We knew we knew something was going to happen there, but we didn't know how it was going to unravel. And then when it unraveled, it was still very, very painful and surprising. So like, I love those concepts that you were able to do, and again, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to give you what's going to happen and then still surprise you with what's going to happen. So, I mean, really kudos to that type of writing. I would not want to try that.
Thank you so much. I got a lot of inspiration from the show Lock and Key.
Okay.
If you decide to watch that, they do a lot of that. Like, they'll give you a red herring, they'll give you like the real problem, and you'll know kind of both. Like, you end up knowing exactly what's going to happen, and it does happen, but not in the way that you think it is, and it's even worse than what you actually thought was going to happen. So like, if you liked my book, I highly recommend that show, because they do a similar thing.
Okay. So what is the process that got you to there? Because you are a new author. So this is a very daunting title to create in the first place. But so what was your editing process, and how did you get this done with deftly maneuvering a lot of these things that I think a lot of complex authors, just because of time travel's not easy. So
Yeah. So it all came from like one specific scene that I wanted to write, and it is the ballroom scene where Vera is dancing with Calix and Arden is in the background like watching them. I love a bit of a love triangle, and I love like an intense ballroom scene like Pride and Prejudice and Bridgerton, like, and I wanted to like fantasyfy Bridgerton for a minute. So I started with that and I thought, okay, well, what can I do to like make this scene happen? And I did my outline for Lave, and then I did the Vera outline because I've always been like really obsessed with doppelgangers and twins and mirrors. I had kind of a traumatic moment with like a Bloody Mary in the mirror situation in fourth grade. So I've always been like weirdly fascinated with it now. So I knew I wanted to do something with twins and mirrors, and it all just kind of like plopped together. And after I wrote the first draft, Vera originally actually met Calix and Arden in the woods when she first arrives. And the more I kept like rereading that, it felt wrong. It felt like she wouldn't get to have one relationship and then another. It felt like too easy. So the whole like first half of the book, I totally had to rewrite, and I did a lot of crying, and it it was, oh my God, that was so much. And I sent it to my editor, and she was like, "This is wildly better. It gives a real reason for a love triangle other than two pretty guys."
It does make sense because like when we beat Arden, you give us time to learn about Arden before you introduce Calix to us, so it makes a believable love triangle. So I like that you didn't do that because introducing Calix into the book that early probably would have it would have muddied the waters very differently.
Yeah.
Love triangles tend to be very, very tough to do, either believably or to the point where they don't annoy the hell out of the readers.
Yep. It went from like, I love Twilight, so don't get me wrong, but like it went from like a Twilight vibe to an actual like girl with feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I like Twilight.
Oh, I love Twilight, but it was very insta love for both of the boys, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad that I ended up switching and like having them meet at different times because it made her like compartmentalize more and separate the two of them instead of like blending the two guys into like one feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He was very like insta attached originally. So
That would have made sense. So, are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I'm Team Edward.
Okay.
Oh, I like a vampire.
I was torn. I was very much torn because I haven't read the books. I've only watched the movies, which I
Oh,
know is wildly different from the books and everything. I was Team Jacob for a long time until like the last book, and then I'm just like, I'm Team no one at this point. The love triangle did bother me. It did irritate me because I'm just like, Edward obviously is endgame. We know that Edward's going to
yep.
be endgame, but I don't want him to be endgame. And it's just like, I'd rather not. Can Bella just be alone?
Right?
She'd be fine, just off by herself. But eventually we got there and like, okay, fine, I'm Team Edward now. But like for a very long time, I was Team Jacob because New Moon bothered the shit out of me.
I was Team Jacob until the imprinting on a baby, and then I
Yeah,
was done.
yeah, that's right where I dropped it too. I was just like, man, Team Jacob, what is he doing?
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
Edward's not
Same.
that bad of a guy, I guess. Ugh.
Yeah, it's funny. Readers they'll message me being like Team Calix or Team Arden, and it's
And
it's
you're just laughing.
so
You're laughing
funny.
in the background, just like dance.
Like it's so hilarious to like to hear like people's reasonings behind which one they like too, and it's like no one knows who to trust. No one knows anything. And like that's like my favorite part is these messages from readers like and the like legitimate anger they have at some of Vera's choices. It's so funny.
I tried to not yell at you in DMs. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
You
I
didn't, but I
was
would have loved it.
I was yelling at you. It just was in my car. It was in my car. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Ugh.
Leif's choices aren't great either.
No. Between Lave and Daphne, oh, I wanted that to work. And it was just like, oh, he just keeps making just worse and worse choices.
Yo.
And it's hard to, you eventually understand Lave, but man, it's hard to love Lave at the very beginning. Because man, he runs out of feet to put in his mouth.
Yes.
This is a 12-footed man that has managed to put 12 different feet in his mouth at most times.
He keep his mouth shut. Like
No.
he just like cannot shut up, and like he makes the worst choices, and like it's like you understand why he makes the choices that he makes, but they're not the right ones. Like what are you thinking? What are you doing? Leave Daphne alone. Stop taking drugs. Like
Yes. Leave Daphne alone. You should be with someone better for you. No, not that one.
Like that one's even worse. Like
that one's so much worse. Oh my god, you wrote such a very hateable character. I'm not gonna mention who it is, but good lord, I hate this woman.
Yo, yeah. Oh no, she is the epitome of like everything I despised about like cliquey women.
Yes.
Like she felt like very Regina George, like mean girl.
Very mean girl, very like, I'm a girl's girl. No, you're not. You're not. You're no. No, we all hate you. We know you're a terrible person.
Even your friends hate you. Even your dad hates you. Like, no, like you are just the worst.
Only a person only a mother could love, but she probably hates you too. So it's like, right?
No. The hardest scene in this whole book, and it's not even like a war scene or like a death scene or something. The hardest scene for me was Lucette throwing tarts in the solarium pond.
Yeah.
I was mad at myself. I was like, I'm typing it and I'm like, oh, what a horrible girl. Like I was like disgusted with myself.
Yeah, she was really hateable. Yeah, we didn't like, there's nobody's team Lucette. If somebody DMs you, it's like, hey man, I love Lucette, you're like, block. I'm gonna block that person.
Yeah, no, if anybody likes her, you need to touch grass.
Yes, media literacy is dead. If you're just like, I'm team Lucette. Did you finish the book? Have you gotten to the end of the book? No?
Well, and like, and Daphne even like takes up for her for a minute because like a lot of what happens is because of Lave. Like if he would have made a different choice that night, the way things went wouldn't have even happened. So like Daphne's like, yeah, she's a horrible person, but like you gave her the platform to be that way.
Yes, yet another one of the horrible decisions that Lave made.
Yeah.
So
that from Anne Boleyn, that was like, this book is kind of an Anne Boleyn retelling, and book 2 is like Mary Queen of Scots versus Elizabeth I.
Okay, so on the subject of book 2, what do you have in store for us? Give us, without spoilers, obviously, what do you have to deal with? Because there's a lot.
So it is multi-POV in book 2. Everybody's on the same timeline at this point, but there's 7 POVs, so you'll get to be in the mind of Mr. Prince Florian, who is my favorite character of the whole series.
Okay.
I love him. I love everything about him. I don't know what it is, but he's just like, I love him. Um, so you'll get to see him, Lave, and Vera. Um, 2 other people that I don't want to say because it'll spoil what happens in book 1. Um, and a brand new character named Edian. She is like the coolest, most badass girl ever. She's very Selena from Throne of Glass vibed, and I love her so much. We're gonna get to see a lot more of the continent of Aditasia. Everybody's kind of spread out into different kingdoms. We even get to be on a pirate ship on the sea. So book 2 for me, I'm telling people it's kind of Game of Thrones meets Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a lot because Game of Thrones there's a lot of working parts here, but I can see what the basis that you've done with book 1. It's going to be really fun because it sounds like we're going to be leaving Pernav, at least partially. I love when books do this. Like, they give us a very solid start, and then the world explodes, and it's in fantastic ways. So this sounds like a lot of fun. What are some of the challenges that you've had being an indie author and promoting your book? Because books are hard. Book marketing is hard.
Yeah.
So what are some of the lows that you've done, and also give me some of the highs. Give me, because we don't want to just like crap all over indie marketing. It's what I have to do also, and I am not looking forward to it because I just finished my fantasy novel and I put that aside for a month so that way I can go back to, I can edit it with clear eyes. But like, I finally finished that. Now I'm writing completely unhinged romance between a woman and a sentient comic book.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, I love that so much.
It's an interesting one. But so give me some of the things that have been extremely difficult, some things that maybe people don't really know about in terms of like what indie authors have to deal with, and then give me some of those highs that like really make you happy that you took the indie route as far as instead of the trad route.
So I'll start with the highs because the lows is a little bit more complicated. So the highs, just like meeting readers, like traditionally published authors don't as often get to like meet their readers unless they're doing some kind of a signing, and they don't get as many DMs. And a lot of the time, if they're really big, they're not even doing their own social media, so you're not like talking to them anyway. So I like the personability with readers, and like I've made really good friends with my beta readers and ARC readers, and like we've gotten together, and the conventions I've gone to have been absolutely incredible. Like everything in person has been so much fun, and I'm really glad that I went the indie route. It feels very genuine. It feels like whatever story I have in my head, I can put out there. No one is there saying, oh, this isn't marketable. Oh, this isn't something that somebody's going to buy. I obviously want people to buy the book, but if you don't like my book, then it wasn't for you anyway. I'm not in it for that. But the lows, they're like screaming into the void of the internet. Like there are, although in the grand scheme of like humanity, there's not that many authors, but once you're like in that author algorithm, it's like everyone is an author. And although we're not competing with each other because readers read voraciously, like there's no one to compete with, it feels like you're screaming into the void sometimes and kind of being like left behind or forgotten. And I feel like a lot of indie authors could get really, really big if people even knew they existed. So that's like not having enough money for the type of marketing that you need to blow up is a downer. Um, and like I am an A Million Lives author and a Once Upon a Con author.
Ooh.
And I like that's something that traditionally published authors really don't have to deal with because their publishers will get them into conventions. Indie authors have to pay table fees. We have to buy however many books we're gonna bring to that convention. Our hotel, our travel, like all of that's on us. And between those two conventions, I lost about 6 grand. So every penny that I've even made as profit on my books, I'm starting over again.
Yeah, con scams. They're cons. Cons. We'll just call them cons. I managed to dodge a bullet with A Million Lives. I didn't go to 2025, but that's how I found you through Once Upon a Con, where you were doing a live, and I had put we were talking about it, and you were just like, oh, it's not that bad yet. I'm just like, just wait. I've heard it's horrible, and then it got worse.
Yeah, it's so. I know there was a ton of people with Once Upon a Con that had it worse than me because, like, I was able to get in for free because I was an A Million Lives author and they like offered to not do a table fee. But I'm from Ohio and this was in DC, so like I I rode with a friend, another author, and we had to get a U-Haul to like bring as many books as we needed. So the cost of a U-Haul and gas and like the hotel, and we didn't know where else to go, so we stayed at the convention center, and that hotel was so
the
expensive.
Gaylord is so unbelievable. It's a beautiful hotel, absolutely beautiful hotel,
Oh,
but
incredible stay, but my gosh, it was so expensive. And I actually didn't lose a bunch of money, particularly with that convention. I nearly sold out. I did
that's
really,
amazing.
really well. My problem with Once Upon a Con was they had these like
The
doubloon
balloons,
things,
yes.
and they owe me almost $700 in doubloon books. Um, like I'm taking it as giveaways, and I'm like, I'm
Hmm.
just glad that that many people have my book. I hope they read it, like it. I hope they like tell people about it and rate it and whatever. So I'm trying to like think of it that way, as like that was like
As
a
a
marketing
marketing
thing
lot,
for
yes.
myself. Because none of us are ever going to get our money back from
No,
that.
I'm pretty sure they fled the country. I think that was a
Yeah,
rumor that
I
they
don't
like
know.
just. I think they just left the country. It.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I managed. I was going to do the 2026 event, so when everything went to shit, I was still in that window for PayPal that I could just reverse the charges and get my money back. But that's
Yeah.
not the case with a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't realize that are not in the author spaces that it's a matter of just like, oh, we'll just dispute your charge. I'm like, most of the time, you're booking events for a year to a year and a half, sometimes even 2 years. I'm seeing
Yep.
2027 bookings starting to happen.
Yep.
We don't have that opportunity to be able to just like, well, I'm just going to claw that money back because
Yeah.
we're well past the PayPal standard. We're well
Mhm.
past your bank standard. It's a matter of it's one of those situations where a lot of people you just can't get that money back.
Yeah.
So these kind of cons really do hurt people when they're completely and totally mismanaged.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done so I have several cons that I'm doing next year, and I made sure that they weren't first time cons. Like I hate to like not ever do a first time convention ever again, but I'm not going to. They at least have to have 2 years under their belt before I
Hmm.
even apply anymore.
If it's local, like if I can drive there in a
Yeah.
car, I might give it a shot.
Um,
But if I have to travel any significant distance, yeah, I'm with you on that. It has to be there has to be a couple of years of clear sailing there before I'm going
Yep.
to drop money onto a booth.
Yep.
So hopefully hopefully we're done with these, but I want to say it's like, man, I think we're done with these, but we're not. Like, we're going to see the same horror stories in 2026 because new places will pick up that vacuum and will still shit the bed.
Yep.
So it is definitely one of the weird pitfalls that's kind of unique to indie authors. So you are a fantasy author. Are you only going to be a fantasy author? Is fantasy what you're going to live in, or do you bounce around with genres? Like, what do you have coming up?
Fantasy is my #1 love, but I love thrillers, and I have some thrillers that are going to be coming out too. One of them is about a trophy wife who is bored with her suburban life, and she kind of becomes Lady Dexter to help some spice. And I have a series of like game show thrillers, kind of a Love is Blind or a Big Brother or whatever, and like bad things happen on the show.
Dude, if you did something with Love is Blind, there's so many opportunities for things to go wrong on there, because like things go so wrong already on Love is Blind. Oh man, if you threw murder into that could be an amazing storyline. I would be down for that.
Excited about it.
I would definitely be down for that one. I bounce around to pretty much everything. I love fantasy. Like, fantasy is like that's what I started writing, and I somehow both my horror books beat my fantasy novel out, but it's okay. It's fine. We don't.
Horror's fun though.
It is fun. Horror is healing, because I've murdered so many people I don't like. Like, man, that name sounds familiar. It should. It should. That is fun. So, what are some of the inspirations that you have with your characters? 'Cause, as I said, sometimes we just murder all people we don't like. But what about people that we do like? So give us some of the ideas that you have with the characters you have. Which one of them is closest to you? Because we always insert ourselves into the books whether we want to or not. So yeah, let me know about that process.
So Poppy is, I'm not going to say her name on here because I haven't asked her permission, but Poppy is a friend that I had in like elementary, middle, and high school. She is like the sweetest person to ever live, never has said a bad thing about anybody, just this like dainty, sweet, bubbly, cheery person. And Vera very much needed a couple friends, so yeah, so I wanted Poppy to like be one of those friends for her. Arden is kind of a mix of like Dean Winchester and my husband.
Okay.
Kind of gruff, kind of grumbly, has a good side too, gets irritated very quickly, which I think is really funny. And I kind of self-inserted into both of the twins. The only bad reviews I've ever gotten are saying that like Vera is like annoying and naive and helpless. Like, she's a 19-year-old girl. And it kind of like, I get where they're coming from, but like not every character can be Aelin Galathynius. And sometimes a soft, feminine, boy crazy, dress loving girl is okay. Like,
you have a character in Vera that you fleshed out very well. She is obsessed with fairy tales. She's obsessed with this mythical place that her brother has told her about this entire time. And they grow up in such a horrible place. So when you finally get to this fantasy world that you've been told about your entire life, the logical thing that's going to happen is you're going to engross yourself into this fantasy. All of the fantasies that I've had in my life are real, So I'm going to go
Okay.
enjoy those fun times.
Yes.
So like I didn't see that with Vera. I could see where people would be like but it's the same thing with like people were like fourth wing and people were just like, oh man, they're
Yeah.
so annoying. It's like they're 19. You were
Right.
really annoying when you were
Well,
19 also.
well, and I want to be like, if you were 19 years old and you were able to go to Narnia, of course Vera is going to be obsessed with where she is. Like, she's me at 19. I was naive. I came from a really, really small town where I knew everybody, and my dream was to like move away and like do something big with myself. I was boy crazy. Like, I flitted from boyfriend to boyfriend, and like, I don't know. I thought that she was me. So when people say like she's really dumb and boy crazy and naive, I'm like, well, you're calling me stupid. But then like I kind of self-inserted into Lave a little bit too, because he has a lot of anger and he has a lot of depression and he has struggles with substances. And I used to drink quite a bit. I still struggle with depression, and I carry a lot of anger in myself just for things that happened in my past. So like the twins are like a split of my like inner demons and the person I want to be. And I don't know. So like people can like or dislike them, which and they should. Like you should be able to connect like that or not connect. Um but it does aggravate me when people like super condone Vera for being like a flighty 19-year-old, because realistically who wasn't that way? Like,
I did some really dumb shit when I was 19. The only thing that was very happy about it is the internet did not exist when I was 19, and
nope.
I don't have to worry
Yep.
about anybody seeing anything there. I'm a Gen Xer, so all of my dumb shit did not happen, did not get recorded.
Nope.
There's a lot of really dumb stuff that I did as a kid,
Mhm.
and none of it is recorded. It is all word of mouth on what happened.
Yep, thank goodness. Like, I'm so glad that there was not like video evidence.
Yeah, because I would have, if I was a kid, I absolutely would have TikToked it. I would have been like, "Hey, this is me jumping off the garage with an umbrella
Yep.
because I saw Mary Poppins and she did it."
Yep.
So stupid, so stupid. I still don't know how I didn't kill myself there. Like absolutely should have died jumping off a garage with an umbrella. Stupid. Don't do those things, kids.
Right.
Don't jump off don't jump off garages with umbrellas. Don't eat Tide Pods. Don't do stupid things on the internet.
Oh, yep.
So what is the time frame? What are we looking at? When do we get to see what happens next with Lave and Vera? What do you have going on, and what is 2026 going to be treating us with JD?
So, my edits with my editor will start the 1st of December, and she's supposed to give them back to me the end of December. So, I'm hoping that I can like fix everything that my editor wants to do by like end of February. So, end of February, beginning of March, I think is when book 2 will come out, but I don't have a particular date yet. It's this year has been like it would have come out probably like this November, but my husband and I got into a wreck.
Oh,
I broke my leg. He had to have surgery. We his father passed away. I like there was a lot going on this year that like has pushed my timeline for everything back. It's been like the year from hell.
mhm.
But
Also a
next
Million Lives and Once Upon a Con.
yeah, which took a lot of the money for resources
Hmm.
for stuff for book 2. Just everything just had to be pushed back. But next year I have 4 conventions planned so far. Book 2 will be out, and I have a gothic Sin Eater meets Salem Witch Trials fantasy coming out.
Okay.
One of the thrillers will come out. I will be starting book 3
Oh,
in
that's
the
fantastic.
Smoke and Mirror series. Yeah,
Okay. How many books is the Smoke and Mirror series?
it'll be 6.
Okay. It's a
Yeah,
beefy book. Okay. A beefy
I
series. I'm
I'm
looking forward to it.
excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I've already outlined the whole thing. I know how it's gonna end. I know who lives and dies, and who gets together, and who doesn't work out, and yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about it.
That is fantastic. All right, guys. It is Smoke and Mirrors. This is JD Laubach. Thank you so much for coming. If you haven't already, here is the book. It's right here. Not my camera. Not my camera. Click the book. There we go. Book. There it is. Right here. Smoke and Mirrors. Available on Amazon, will eventually be available at Barnes and Nobles, and you can also grab it on their personal site. It is an amazing book. We thank you so very much for having for
Thank you.
being able to get on here. We'd love to have you back when book 2 is out, because our readers in our book club really did enjoy this book. So yeah, we'd
That's
love
so
to have you
great.
back.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, and we will catch you next time.